All right, the interaction of demand and supply. This is a huge topic. That's why we'll be cutting it in half from 18th of page, I suppose. Did I write it? Okay. First of all, once more, we will be going through the market equilibrium and disequilibrium's definitions, where it will be shown, and then the effects of shifts in demand and supply and how they will be affecting our equilibrium points. And also relationship between different markets and markets between Coca-Cola and Pepsi, or maybe like Coca-Cola and clothes and something like that. And at the end, we'll be going through the functions of prices in resource allocation and how different prices can be affecting your allocation differently. Once more, what is a market equilibrium? Market equilibrium is where demand equals supply, where our demand curve demand curve will be meeting our supply curve. This is our equilibrium point, and at this point we'll have our equilibrium quantity and then equilibrium price as shown here. This will be our balance situation, and nothing else will be changing it unless something else affects. And then consumers and suppliers plans match at this point, and both of the parties will be happy. Price mechanism ensures that the market clears and there will not be any product left that will not be sold, nor anyone will be kind of left out to not have enough products to buy who are able to buy at this price. So equilibrium price, the price at which demand equals supply, and equilibrium quantity, the quantity bought at the sold equilibrium price. This point. All right. When the equilibrium, on the other hand, is just any other point where demand and supply are not equal, and that will result in excess demand or like excess supply. When it will be excess demand, like too little products. So if the demand is too high but the products are too little, and then there will be shortage left because everyone can't buy it. But if there are too many production being happened but people don't want to buy it, then we'll have too much surplus left behind. There will be an imbalance, therefore change will happen, and then market supply and market demand will not be equal at this point. Once more, where supply and demand it doesn't equal each other, and then there can be two different kind of these equilibrium points, where in excess demand or in excess supply. First of all, in excess supply, when there will be surplus of our product, our prices will be too high. Because the prices are too high, the firm owners will have this incentive to produce more in order to make more profit, because they think that they will make profit. But since prices are too high, consumers, on the other hand, have another incentive to buy less. They will say, it's too expensive, I will buy it once it gets much cheaper. Because of that, we'll have too little demand at this point, but too much supply at this point. And this point between point Q, which is our quantity demand, and Q2, which is our quantity supplied, this point will be our excess supply, like additional units that are not being sold. In this case, when demand is too low, eventually firms will have to cut prices in order to sell their products, and because of that, more consumers will be also coming back. As prices are going down because firms are lowering it, less product is being kind of produced because now profit is less. But since it's also cheaper, more consumers are coming back, and they will reach the equilibrium point once more. On the other hand, when you have excess demand, meaning too many people want to buy it, in these cases, usually prices will be low because consumers see it as a good deal. But since prices are too low and you will not be able to make much profit, the firms will have the alternative incentive and they will not be producing much. Because of that, between this quantity supplied and quantity demanded, this point will be our excess demand, the people who are being left out from purchasing this product. In this case, once more, firms will see that the prices are too low, but the demand is too high. Because of that, they will say, so people want to buy it, let's just increase the prices to make more profit. And because of that, less people will be willing to buy it. Eventually, they will once more reach this equilibrium point, just like a kind of balance. So it will balance out itself. In this adjustment process, this equilibrium will be narrowing as price and quantity change. just like this, from this point to just this. And then they might also take time based on what kind of production we are going through. If you remember, we went through price elasticity of supply, where in like agriculture, it was usually hard to produce our products and adjust our supply because it would take too much time. But in production, in like manufacturing goods such as pencils or like fast production goods, it was much easier to produce your goods. Because of that, in agriculture, it will take like a longer time than some other simpler manufacturing processes. And market will always tend toward equilibrium unless someone else like government will be intervening. So once more, speed of adjustment depends on price elasticity of supply. So the effects of shifts in demand and supply and how they will be affecting our equilibrium points. The equilibrium price and quantity change when demand and or supply changes, and this kind of shifts may be caused by non-price factors. Once more visiting that back old topic, when there will be like change in demand and supply, the whole curve will be shifting. We're gonna go through the diagram later. Whereas on the movement along the curve, the thing you were going through right now, how you're moving from this point to this point, in this case, there will be change in only the quantity demand or supply due to price change. Only price change will be affecting it. So in the case of shifts in demand curve, let's say our initial, is there a graph? Okay. Our initial equilibrium point was here. Let's kind of imagine drawing a diagram through this. Let's draw a supply diagram. And when we are having a shift, increase in demand, for example, maybe the income of the entire like work kind of consumers increased, or like maybe some alternative products. If we were buying Coke and then Coke prices just skyrocket, we will be switching to Pepsi. Because of that, there will be like a shift in the demand curve. And if our initial equilibrium point was this, but then it will be switching to the new point of here, because now we are at the new demand, and that will give us new quantity supply demanded and then new quantity supplied. Let's just imagine a supply curve here. So basically, shift will be causing a change in the equilibrium. So once more, cause of shifts in demand curve, we went through it before. Income and ability to pay. The more money you have, the more demand there is, or like vice versa. Or price of related products. So if your competitors' substitute prices are too high, then those customers will come to you. But if they are too cheap, then your customers will leave to them, lowering your demand. Or like maybe complements, the goods that you will be using alongside, like maybe burgers and fries together. So if those goods prices will be going up, then it means that their demand will go down. So people won't need to buy your good too. But if those prices are going down, then people will buy those goods alongside yours, and your demand will increase. Like things like fashion taste and attitudes. If it's favorable, if all the bloggers are wearing your clothes, then your demand skyrockets. Now, on the other hand, we have causes of shifts in supply curve. Once more, shifts will be happening due to non-price factors. And then there can be like things like maybe natural disasters. When natural disasters hit, your supply will basically go down because you are not able to produce this much. Or maybe you will have some kind of technological advancement that will allow you to produce at a much higher rate. Once more, that shift of curve movement along the curve thing. And then when it's rightward, of course, it's increase. But when it's leftward, of course, it's decrease. So yeah, cost of shifts, like cost of supply, if it's cheaper to produce, then the supply curve will be shifting to right, meaning more supply. But if it's too expensive, then it will be too less supply. Price of other products, like your competitors. If your competitors' prices will be like going too much, then it means that those kind of guys, the consumers from them will be coming to you, meaning now you will have to produce much more products in order to kind of sustain all the new customers you took from your competitors. And then size and nature of the industry. The bigger the industry, the more consumers there are, the higher the supply will be. or like government policies. If the government supports you with its substitutes and subsidies and like lowers your taxes, then your supply will be shifting to right, or vice versa. Okay, one thing, again, we are just going like detail by detail. So first of cost of supplies, like things like wage rates, productivities, maintenance costs, technology. The more advancement technology there is, the easier it will be. Price of other products, that same thing. Size and nature of the industry. How bigger the industry, basically you can expand bigger. And then government policies, lower, like higher taxes, it means higher costs, lowering your supply. But if it's lower taxes, then it will be higher supply. So subsidies, again, will help you lower your costs and increase your supply. Regulations, easier it is to produce your goods without any kind of laws. Then if it's easier, it will be lower supply. But if it's too hard, it will be lower supply. If it's too easy, it will be harder supply. And then like stock releases, things like then it will give you like kind of stabilized supply. And then once more, indirect taxes, just like taxes, the higher the taxes you will be, you will have indirect taxes, you will have to increase your prices, and then it might affect you to lower your supply. That same thing. Okay, I guess we have reached the half. If you want, we can like continue going, but if you don't, we can stop it here. Asal?
Could you go back to the start when you were talking about equilibrium, disequilibrium?
Yep, equilibrium points where this both meet.
Yeah. No, I didn't understand this equilibrium part.
All right. You get what demand and supply is, right?
Yeah.
So demand, basically all the consumers who are buying it. We have this curve showing how at like different prices, how many different people will be buying this. So if it's at this price, we're gonna draw a line just like this horizontal line, and it will show us that at this point this many people will be buying it, or at this point this many people will buy it. The same thing with the supply. So at this line, this many firms will be producing it. But then we'll have to find a kind of point where the same amount of people will be willing to buy the product, and the same amount of people, firms will be producing the product. This is not the firm, this is the amount of products being kind of produced. We need to find this point, like maybe it will be 32,000 people want to buy this, and 32,000 kind of demand there is for the product. We want to buy 32,000 units, and then we need to find the point where at the same time the 32,000 like kind of products will be produced by the producers, and we will draw both these lines on the same graph and then find out that where both of them will be crossing. So at this point, for example, if we at this price, it would be this much demand and this much supply, but this is not what we need, because now if we chose this price, if we chose this equilibrium price to put in the market, then too many less people will be wanting to buy it, and too many people will want to sell it. But because of that, we'll have too many products in the market that's not being sold. Or if we kind of put the price lower, then it will be the vice versa. Too many people will not be able to buy it. So we're gonna draw these both graphs and then put them at the same line. And at this point, we're gonna just find out the price. So at this price, this will be our equilibrium point, so that if we are kind of the government, or like basically the ones who are maybe just studying the market, we know that if somehow this system, the price of the product will be at this point, then the market will be clearing out. Then there will be no amount of products or no amount of consumers being left out. And in like normal markets, like market system where it's free market and no one will intervene, government will not put like taxes or things like that, the market itself will adjust itself to this point, to this equilibrium price. Because for example, if the price was too high, then the less people will want to buy it, and the like producers will understand themselves that they need to lower the prices. So this will be our equilibrium point where both the same amount of quantity will be supplied by the firms, and the same amount of quantity of this product will be want to be bought by the demand, by the consumers. So this will be our equilibrium point. And our equilibrium price, our perfect prices, our perfect points, our perfect production. That was the basically entire thing. If you have any questions, you can still look. What didn't you get? Maybe if you
Like charts regarding to disequilibrium.
disequilibrium. Okay, just I want to say one thing. In this case, the variable we have is the price. We cannot for this part, we are not imagining to change anything, and we will only be changing price so that our kind of vertical line will be also be changing. Okay, but when it was the equilibrium points, when we are changing this price, for example, moving it from this down the line to the up the line, we are changing our equilibrium point. We are increasing the price. So when we increase the price, what will affect what will happen to demand if the price is now higher?
Demand drops.
Yeah, demand drops, less people will buy it. But what happens to supply when now price is higher?
Supply has to go down.
No, supply has to increase. Supply is the amount of products the firms are producing. So if you are producing I don't know, maybe watermelons, you produced 10 tons this year at a price of $1. Next year we are seeing now the price is $2. What will you do? You will produce more because you think you will make more profit because now prices are higher. Did you get?
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense. I mean, looking at the perspective of a firm, that is correct, but speaking, just looking at the scenario from just normal eye, it doesn't make any sense. Why would someone produce something at a higher price just so people don't buy it?
No. Just so people won't buy it, this will be the consequence eventually. I mean, we can't perfectly draw this, and let's just say this line will be only the perspective of the consumer. And this won't be affected by anyone. And this line will be only the perspective of the producer. They won't be kind of putting out a graph and then drawing and just imagining things firms. This supply is a total supply made out of many firms. So firms won't be thinking all the firms in the industry will be producing now higher because price is high. They will just think we will kind of produce more than others because there are thousands of firms. We won't be kind of opening such kind of big gap because they just want to make profit. They won't kind of care about that because just like the example I gave, when you look at farmers, when the price of those kind of foods they are kind of planting goes up, they won't think that now the prices are higher, less people will buy it, so I shouldn't produce. This won't be their thoughts. What they will be thinking is that now the prices are higher, I should produce more. Because of that, they won't be kind of caring about the consumer point. If you, I don't know, that's the kind of example I can give from kind of farmers. I guess you can see that in daily life. Maybe or even in 8 times. When Eid is coming, when everyone has to slaughter a sheep. Of course, the shepherd will be kind of selling more sheep into the market because they know that price will be going up. They won't be kind of putting it into graph or something like that because they know now the price is higher that they can make more profit. They will think that if sometimes because now prices are too high, some sheep might be left out, but that's not the concern of the shepherd because they think that they need to raise as many sheep as possible to sell it at a high price around 8 times, around this point. They won't be making the perfect choice of putting out a graph and then thinking now less people will buy. They will just think to themselves and try to produce as much as possible to make as much profit as possible. Did you get what I mean?
Yeah, I got it.
And you got the after that you got the disequilibrium point, right? I mean, how at a higher price or lower price there can be different quantity supply and demand. Or should I go it through once more?
Like, it's written that here that firms cut prices, which leads to consumers buy more, which leads to new equilibrium being reached. Can you like explain this on a chart? Like how the supply decreasing causes demand to decrease too?
Okay, okay. Um, uh, First thing I want to mention is that this will be what will happen after, like kind of, there will be surplus. This will be how it can adjust itself. So first of all, our starting point for this will be at a higher price where we are having too little quantity supply and too much demand, and then when now the demand is too low, so like only 50 people want to buy a watermelon at the price of $5, but firms already produced like 200 of those watermelons, but only 50 people want to buy it. So firms will see that they are losing consumers and no one is coming to buy from them. So what will they do? They will try to lower the kind of their prices, because if you're like in a bazaar and like 20 people will be selling watermelons, and then if they're all selling at $5 and too many less consumers are buying and they are also kind of distribute among them, one of the sellers will think to themselves, so if we are all selling at $5, if only I just reduce the price by like $1 and make it $4, I'll be able to sell all of my kind of watermelons at the same time, while my competitors will be just left out because I now have a lower price. They will think that because of that, they will lower their prices in order to sell their kind of too much excess products. And then that thought will be going through everyone else's mind, because they will see that their kind of neighbor just reduced their prices and was able to sell all of their products. So they will also think I have to reduce this from $5 $4 too. Because of that, the firms will be eventually lowering their prices, and at the same time, the consumers will see that, like some of the consumers might say, "Nah, it's $5. It's not too expensive," and they might have just passed from the watermelon point. But once they are, let's say, like leaving the bazaar and now see that now it's not $5 but $4, they will say, now it's cheaper. Now I guess it's kind of worth to buy it. So the more consumers will be willing to buy it. So at the same time, we will be having minus numbers in the supply and then plus numbers in the demand. And because of that, because now prices are going down, all of this excess product will be kind of bought by the new consumers. And then eventually it will just level itself back at the equilibrium point. So firms will cut their prices to sell out their excess supply, because I mean, just having to sell all their products at a kind of lower price is much better than being left out with your like 1 kg of watermelon and then having to go back home and just sit with your watermelons back at home. It's much easier to sell it for a cheaper price and just turn all your watermelons into pure cash. That was the point. Did you get?
Can
Or
yeah, can we make this clear? Because I still have some like uh I I still couldn't digest it. So as the price drops, see, um,
yeah,
as price drops, how demand is decreasing? I'm not
no,
getting it.
demand is increasing. We are moving from this point to this point. Demand is increasing just like that. If you can see, can you
But
see on the?
it's going down. How it's going to increase?
No, 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 no. No, we won't care about. No, our demand. This is not our demand. We won't be looking at it like from this point of view. We'll be only looking at this point. At this point, we will be drawing a line just like this. It will go down, and if you look at this,
Oh
our
yeah, yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
quantity
our
increases.
quantity.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
This applies for both supply and demand. It's only the reason it has a minus like slope, minus gradient, is because when prices go down, the demand will go up, and then it will be vice versa. Because of that, it's drawn like this. You don't like calculate from this point. You will calculate from this point.
Uh, Got it. Got it.
Any questions from this graph?
No.
And then this is the vice versa, where it will be, too little price. I guess that's where we can wrap up half of the lesson. And if you have any questions from any of these things, shifts and demand, cause of shifts, you can ask them. This will be for the next lesson. Once more. Yeah, definition of market equilibrium is equilibrium. The effects of shifts in demand and supply curves on equilibrium price and quantity. And then this will be for the next lesson. Any questions?
Nope.
Right,
I question.
Oh, Kiran, you're here.
Yeah, sorry, I'm late. So I've read
Yeah,
somewhere there are two types of equilibrium based on market scope and scale, which is partial and general equilibrium. So will it be discussed further, or can you explain it now?
can you repeat it once more? I couldn't really catch up.
Maybe I'll just type it.
Yeah, it would be much better. I'm in the chat. I guess I just need to stop recording.